Remember he thought because, like, you work in the computer field that you automatically like Star Trek?
Yeah, and the Big Bang Theory.
That was funny.
Yeah,
he loves
like,
the Big Bang Theory.
He does. I can't stand it. I have to be polite.
Why are you so annoyed about it?
I hate that show.
Why?
It's just like...
It depicts real life.
It does not. No, you know what it is? It's annoying because if you work in IT...
It gives nerds a bad name.
If you work in IT, it, like, kind of purports this, like, sort of stereotype that's like... Oh, if that person is socially inept, they must be really good with computers and we should hire them. Which is how we got that one guy, remember?
Yeah.
The guy I would tell you about, like, every week at work, and I still tell stories about.
Did you ever tell...
Chat?
Did you ever tell Chat? Because it was funny, I was out with my friends,
yeah,
and they brought up one of the stories, because it's, like, their favorite story.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot about the story, and then I was like, oh yeah, I'm like, that's freaking hysterical. So, it's a story that involves why, I don't want to ruin it, but why he was late one day.
Yeah, with the...
Yeah,
okay.
Please tell this. This is like, this. Even if you heard it before, this is a good one.
Here's the thing that annoys me about... We need a name for this person. He's like...
Let's call him Milton.
All right, Milton is like almost a stereotypical like nerd.
He had like
joke.
2 teeth that were fighting each other, right?
Well, besides that, but like he had like the hair. He was like in his like 40s. He aced this interview, like the programming interview.
Yeah, you thought he was awesome.
I actually did. I won't lie to you. He destroyed the interview I gave him. But he has turned into the singular worst programmer I ever met in my life.
He had really bad code, right?
Terrible code, like. I couldn't even tell you how bad this code was.
Like, it was like I wrote the code.
But he was also, like, a really weird guy, and he was kind of obnoxious, too. But, like, one day he came into work with these big black lines down the side of his face, okay? Like, one on each side of his face. And the thing is that, because he was this is a true thing. I interviewed him for a regular developer role, but my bosses thought, since he was so nerdy, that he could probably lead the whole team.
I can't even believe that now.
No, but like, and I really did like tell them, even though like I thought he was good. I'm like, I don't think he's that kind of person.
Like a forward-facing.
You want, yeah, like a leadership role type of person or whatever. But either way, they made him one. So he gets into this interview with a bunch of directors and the VP of technology with these black lines down the sides of his face, one on each side. And he sits down, and the VP of tech's like, "All right, Milton, what's going on?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" He talked like that. He was like just super breathy and creepy. He's like, "What do you mean by that?" And they're like, "Yeah, these big lines on the side of your face." He goes, "Oh, so I was walking." I'm making it a little too deep. It was just kind of like, again, like a very sort of nerdy voice, but like, "Oh well, I was getting onto the subway and the doors were closing and both of my hands were full, so I stuck my face into the subway doors in order not to miss my car." And they were like, "You put your face, why didn't you stick your hand in?" And he's like, "Well, I need my hands to code." And it's like, and when he told us the story, it's like, you need a face to code, dude. Like,
I love that, because like, you know, in all the times traveling on the subway in the city,
mm-hmm.
I've never seen, you know, people stick a leg in, a briefcase, whatever. I've never seen someone stick their face in.
They stuck his damn face in, and I just love ridiculous. I love the visual that I imagine with his face going in and the doors kind of just squishing
and, like,
it.
That annoying bum bum.
Yeah. It's like I couldn't. He was the weirdest guy. One time too, he left. He brought in, you know, cell Wi-Fi, those cell Wi-Fi routers?
Yes.
So, even though your phone tethers stuff now, he had, like, a full-on, like, MiFi.
This is going back, at least, like, 6 years ago now?
Yeah, this is going back, like, 6-7 years. He had a MiFi, okay? You know? And he, like, left it at work, I guess. So, one day, I'm sitting there and I was working late, and his phone starts ringing over and over and over. His landline starts ringing over and over and over again. And, I walk, so it's, like, annoying the crap out of me. Whoever is, like, calling keeps, like, not doing the voicemail and hanging up and calling back. So finally, like, after the 10th time, I walk over and I'm like, "Milton's desk." And, of course, it's Milton. It's his voice. He goes, "Michael, is that you?" And he's the only person who ever called me Michael. Like, everyone's like Mike or Sawyer or whatever. But I'm like, "Milton, are you calling your own phone?" He's like, "Yeah, I didn't know who was left in the office, so I decided to just keep dialing my own phone until someone picked up."
Hey, it worked.
I have to give it to him. It actually did work. So, like, I pick up the phone, or no, I'm like, all right, Milton, what's up? And he's like, did I leave my MiFi under the desk? And I'm like, I look under and there it is. I'm like, yeah, you did. He goes, okay, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to go downstairs to the lobby and give it to the security guard so I can pick it up later. So I'm like, all right, because I just want to, like, get done with this.
Get done with him.
I go down to the security guard. The security guard's like, kind of like, well, sir, unfortunately, we can't hold on to items like that.
And this is also without, like, I'm not divulging where you work, but this is, like, a landmark building in Manhattan.
Yeah,
This is, like, not a...
You can't just do... They won't.
Yeah, like,
they won't
it's,
just
like,
be
super high security. It's not like they're gonna take some, like, electronic device and hold it.
Yeah, it's not like a place like that.
No, it's not even, like, a regular office building. It's, like...
So, anyway, but I did try because he asked. So they're like, I'm sorry, sir, we can't do that. Maybe you could blah, blah, blah. So I go back up. I call him back, like, Milton, they're not taking the Wi-Fi. He goes, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to go back and try again. And I'm like, Milton, I'm like, they're not going to take it. And he's like, okay, I have another idea. There's a bar downstairs, right? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, can you give it to the bartender with $20 and tell him to hold it and I'll pay you back? I'm like, Milton, why don't you just come upstairs and get it when you get to the building? He goes, wait, we can get in the office after hours? Like, you're fucking talking to me! I'm here, yes!
Oh, Milton.
Jesus Christ.
You know, it's another good Milton story. I miss his stories, actually.
I know.
Do you remember where Milton moved to? Because he thought it was like...
Oh!
That was like
I love this. God, alright. I worked in Manhattan, you know, and I live in New Jersey, as you all know. Milton, and his wife lived in Manhattan. He had money, too, like, but, he had, like, some stuff patented and things like that, you know. He wasn't a stupid guy at all. Milton friggin', what did he do? Alright, so, he's looking for a house, him and his wife. I promise to God these stories are true, by the way. Friggin', and he tells us he's buying a house in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, okay? Yeah. And then I'm like, wait, isn't that, like, really far away? And he's like, yeah, it's like a 4-hour commute or something. I'm like, well, how is that going to work with your, like, job here? And he's like, so it turns out he didn't think it through. And basically I'm like, why didn't you, like, look in New Jersey? And he's like, well, my real estate agent told me, like, on the upside, it's much closer, but on the downside, you live in New Jersey. I'm like, you're in Lancaster, Pennsylvania!
I'm sorry, you know, I'm not to rag on anyone who lives in Pennsylvania. And I know Jersey gets, like, the bad rap, but come on, it's freaking Pennsylvania.
But here's the thing, if you're gonna, like, dunk, like, shit on New Jersey, like,
exactly.
It's not like you pick the Paris of the East Coast, Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
No, I remember you were like, yeah, like, that's some kind of social mecca.
Right, like, what are you talking about? So, this is the thing. Turns out, wonder of wonders, you can't really do, like, a 3-hour commute every goddamn day.
People do it, though.
So,
like, he's not the only one. People do live in Pennsylvania and commute, which is, I think, nuts, but...
So this is what he did. He has a wife and like, I think 2 kids. And he would rent an apartment in Queens. So, Monday, he would take the train from Lancaster to his apartment in Queens, come into work, live in Queens for, like, fucking days, and then go home on Friday!
See, I think his wife was a genius.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think she, like, just didn't want to deal with Milton. And she was, like, knew that he was too stupid, probably, like, to realize that it wasn't going to be a great commute.
Right.
So she's like, yeah, let's go to Pennsylvania, knowing full well that, like, Milton would be like, oh, wait a minute, this sucks, and then have to get, like, an apartment or something.
But it's, like, and it's so crazy, and I'm going to tell you, too, a freaking apartment in Queens ain't cheap. Because even, like, then we were kind of like, Milton, like, you know...
Yeah, you have an apartment now in Queens, and...
I know, I'm like, how much could this... Like, I was like, you can't be making money on this. This is ridiculous.
Alright, one more Milton story, and then we'll stop. But this is the other one that I,
Alright.
Oh, wait, it's going out of my mind now, wait, the last Milton story...
I have a million of them. He's far and away.
No, there was like one really, really good one, and I just totally blanked on it.
There's a coding story I tell all my coworkers, because he wrote, like, insanely bad code. Can I tell the magic numbers story?
Yeah, but that's not...
It's not a great
really
one. It's a nerdy one, but while you think of that other story,
what
if
the
you can.
hell was the other one?
There's, like, a kind of thing in code they say you shouldn't do when you're writing code called magic numbers. So, like, if you have 37 in your code for some reason, you shouldn't include just the straight number 37, because there's no indication to other programmers who do it why you chose that number. So the idea is you give it a meaningful variable name, or at least a comment or something, but it shouldn't be just a random number. That's, or, you know what I mean, like a number that doesn't immediately make sense. That's the point of
I
don't
can't believe
use,
I forgot what I wanted to say.
don't use magic numbers. Okay. So, Milton took this to mean that you just shouldn't have numbers in your code, period. So what he did was, instead of like putting the number 3 somewhere, he'd put the string, so it'd be quote 3 quote, and he named it the constant THREE, like the letters, which means every time he wanted to use the number 3, he had to type out THREE. And he had to do, obviously programming languages do not support this, so he had to do this all himself. And one day I'm looking through his code, he did it for the numbers 1 through 32. He just sat there and did it over and over because he literally thought by don't use magic numbers, you just don't put numbers in there.
Oh my god.
It was like crazy talk. And like,
oh shit.
He had one, I'm not even kidding, I swear this is true, it was a constant called empty underscore string, which was like for an empty string, like quote quote, that he would, and wait, this is the best part. If you are not a programmer, I'll tell you there's another thing you like to do with numbers. You like to compare them. Like to say, is something greater than 0? Is something less than whatever?
Yes.
So he couldn't do that because they were all strings now. I swear this is true. He had to check if something was less than 5, this one integer. So he did, is it equal to 0? Or is it equal to 1? Or is it equal to 2? Or is it equal to 3? Or is it equal to 4?
Oh my god.
And he was 10 years older than I am. And like my senior, you know, it was... I had like, it was funny because we'd look at the code, he'd check in, and we would like kind of laugh about it, and also...
I just totally effed that.
And he would argue it with me. That is what killed me the most. Like, you couldn't tell him, like, dude, that's not the point, or whatever. And he would be like, Michael, you know, actually the performance on this is a lot better because strings go fast. Like, if the string fails, if it's wrong, it fails immediately. Yeah, and I'm like... Yes, but Milton, if it succeeds, you have to check the whole length of the string.
Alright, one last Milton story I remembered.
Everyone loves them, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tell him about when Milton's cell phone rang in your boss's office. I love this one. This is my favorite
Oh, how did I forget?
Yeah, this is like the best Milton yet.
My God, our boss told us this. I couldn't believe this. Fucking Milton.
This one is like just ridiculous.
So Milton has a one-on-one with our boss, like the director of whatever, yeah, a guy we both reported to, and they're sitting down, and all of a sudden, like he put his cell phone on our boss's desk, and it starts vibrating, and his wife calls. So they're talking about whatever, and his wife calls. He goes, Milton's like, hold on a second. He goes, and he answers the phone. And he goes, I'm in a fucking meeting, and he's up, and then he tries to pretend like nothing happened, and he's like, so anyway, what I was doing, like our boss is just wide-eyed, and then the phone rings again, he's like, I'm sorry, 1 second, he goes, what? I can't remember exactly, he was like, well, stop fucking calling, I'm in a fucking meeting.
I love Milton. Yeah, that was a great story.
That's the best one.
That's even better than the subway.
That is.
What was wrong with Milton?
I don't know. He thought the world of his like own ability and stuff, and he had this thing called Chat Channel, which was this
was ridiculous
IRC room. He thought they were like the voice of God.
Oh shit! All right, I'm gonna lose.
Yeah.
He thought they were what?
He thought they were like the voice of God. Oh, thank you, Polytantalizing. Yes, Milton, I promise you these stories are all true.
Yeah, these are real. This dude's real.
Oh, God, I forgot the story I was going to tell.
Oh, sorry.
Why he was... Oh, he thought the world of his code. Oh, yeah, he had Chat Channel. Oh, I know a great story. This is a great one, too. We had to go to WWDC together, which was this business trip. This business trip to San Francisco is like Apple's, like big conference or whatever, their tech conference. And so
okay, I'm just gonna die because this isn't going well. But no, continue with your story and then you can play.
When you take business trips, you can keep playing. When you take business trips, your company will pay for food and everything.
I think people understand business trips,
right? But like
how you have to write an expense report.
You have to make an expense report, and you have like a per diem. Like you're not supposed to like spend a ton of money on things, you know, because
And, like, companies
accountants are
got
good.
really shitty. Like, my last, like, you get, like, 15 for breakfast, like, 25 for lunch or something like that, and, like, usually, like, 40 or something for dinner.
All right, you hold the baby. I'll play then. Okay. So
But it's usually broken out, like where you get a certain amount. Hi! Hi!
friggin'
Say hi to Mommy.
what was Milton doing? Oh, all right. So Milton met his IRC chat channel, who he thought were like God in real life. Decided to actually like buy them all food and drinks, and tell the company, you know, he was recruiting and stuff. But he ended up spending like a couple $1,000s on it. So basically, this was before my boss, my boss would probably be like, come on, you got to work with him, all this stuff. And then this was the first time he came up to me and he was like, hey, Sawyer, do you have any trouble filling out your expense report? I'm like, no, why? And he goes, because one of your colleagues had a lot of trouble with it. And he charged, like, all this money and stuff.
He had to sit with him while he filled out his expense report.
That's the other thing to do, because my boss is like, look, you can do certain things so you don't have to pay this. Like, you can, like, kind of spread it out over days and stuff. But he didn't understand it, and my boss had to, like, sit with him and do it. It was such a fucking...
Oh, Milton.
His chat channel was the worst group of people I ever met. Because I was out in San Francisco. It was just me and him. I didn't really know anybody, right? And, like, friggin', so the one night I'm like, all right. And I text Milton.
You went out with chat channel people?
Yeah, because I texted him, like, hey, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm out with my IRC channel, you know, which he called chat channel, but, like, and I'm like, oh, this ought to be good.
What is IRC?
Internet relay chat. It's like an old chat room kind of service, you know?
Oh.
Fucking,
Is it like America Online?
well, yeah. Well, No, it's like nerdier and stuff, you know what I mean? Like, programmers and such used to use it. Well, I mean, a lot of people used to use it.
Is it like Prodigy?
No. It's not the point of the story.
Let's talk about
Chat channel met in real life. So they released a new version of iOS. So anyway, I get there. Milton's at the head of this, like, long table. And
Holding court of the nerds.
Yeah, he's like, keep in mind, I'm a programmer too, but, like, I don't know. So he's like, Michael, like, you know, I'm here with chat, and anyway, he's like,
here with chat channel.
well, he tells me, like, there's a seat at the end of the table. Like, I don't know anybody. I'm like barely paying attention to this. I barely know anybody, so I have to sit across at the other end of the table with all these people. I have no idea who they're with. They released a new version of iOS that they're gonna, like, kind of talk more about, you know, in all the panels you go to, and they're all reading, like, the header files for it on their phones.
Oh, God.
And I'm just sitting there, like, one guy was alright, but, like, this one guy goes like, oh, look, I found like a thing for AirPlay. And the other guy goes, oh, let me see. And the guy holds a finger into his face. He goes, excuse me, reading? And it was just, I was like,
God.
I had like a beer and then I was like, all right, I'm done.
Milton.
No, Milton. Here, let's see if we have Tetris Attack here. Jeez.
Aw. Prince Pooh is getting all nuts.
God, I forgot about the wife though. Holy shit, that was great.
His wife?
Yeah. No, when she
that
call,
yeah,
that was
the best.
I was like,
I'm in a fucking meeting.
I'm in a fucking meeting. And then just like nothing, like his boss wouldn't even like me. Don't call him in a fucking meeting. But like occasionally,
You should do that next time I call you at work.
like occasionally his wife would call and they'd have these like little like tiny angry conversations. Like, I told you I'm going home later. I have to stay for work, and like little things like that. But it's like we have like privacy rooms. You didn't have to take a call at your desk. It was ridiculous.